Hi everyone, my name is Dorothy and I'm the Education Coordinator here at the Silent Wings Museum. Today I'm going to give you all a mini lesson that's inspired by our new temporary exhibit called Images of Valor, U.S. Latinos and Latinas of World War II. What's so cool about this exhibit is that it uses the first-hand stories of real people who lived during World War II to paint a picture for us of what life was like back then for Latinos and Latinas. These first-hand stories are called oral histories, and historians use them to learn about the past. So historian is a fancy word for someone who studies history, and their job is to uncover the past, which can help us understand what's happening today, and even help us predict what might happen in the future. But anyway, what is an oral history? Oral histories are testimonies of living people about their life experiences. Basically, they're like a big interview or a Q&A where a historian puts together a list of questions to ask another person about their life and their life experiences. Historians use oral history testimonies as evidence to confirm their interpretation of what happened in the past. In this way, oral histories are used as primary sources. Well, that's cool, but what is a primary source and why is that important? So think about where you might look when you want to learn something about the past. Maybe you'll look it up in a book, but most likely you'll look it up online. A lot of history books and history articles that you can find online are created by someone who did not directly experience what they're writing about. Instead, they share information that they learned secondhand about a person or event in the past. These are what we call secondary sources. But where might a historian look when they want to learn something? They'd go straight to the source, the primary source, that is. A primary source is a first-hand account of an event or an experience that's created by someone who witnessed that thing happen or experienced it themselves. Journals, photographs, letters, records like birth certificates, and even objects, like what you might find in a museum, are all primary sources. And like I said earlier, oral histories are primary sources too. However, something important to know about oral histories is that they're usually conducted a long time after an event happened or was experienced. So when historians are conducting oral histories, they're asking folks to use their memory to think back on something they saw, witnessed, or experienced. And while oral histories rely on someone's memory of an event, and sometimes our memory fails us, they are just as valid as any other primary historical source. And oral histories are ultimately important because they help us learn about the everyday lives of ordinary people. And the study of that, the everyday lives of ordinary people, is called social history. Social history helps us answer questions like, what kind of food did people eat in the past? And how did they get their food? How did they get from place to place? It can even help us answer questions like, what kind of games did kids play in the past? Answering questions like these can help us learn about the kind of common people that lived in the past and give us an idea of the experiences that many folks had. And these are things we might not learn if we just studied the famous people in history. And kind of in particular, emphasizing the story of folks that are kind of marginalized groups of people or whose stories are often unheard or untold is called history from below, or people's history. But back to the exhibit. Images of Valor comes to us from the archives of the Voces Oral History Project. In the Voces Oral History Project, they conducted over 500 oral histories in order to preserve the unique and often unheard stories and experiences of Latinos and Latinas. And many of those oral history testimonies were used to create the exhibit Images of Valor. So if you get the chance, definitely come see us at the Silent Wings Museum and check out Images of Valor and our other exhibits for yourself. They really are worth seeing. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope that you enjoyed this mini lesson and that you learned a little something about oral histories. So we appreciate your time and we really hope to see you guys soon at the Silent Wings Museum.